I'd like to start off this morning by sharing three specific topics, starting off with an overview of Nucor Corporation, then moving to a topic that should be near and dear to every one of our hearts this morning, and that's restoring manufacturing, fabrication, and construction in the U.S. This not only affects all of us in this room, it affects every American, it affects our children, our grandchildren, and many, many generations to come if we don't get our hands around this today, and we'll share our plan with you. And thirdly, I'd like to share with you the deep-rooted partnership between Tekla and Nucor. These, as the kind of the theme of the presentation, are all models that we're very proud of. So let's talk models. We can talk about models for the future, models to lead, and models to follow. And it's interesting, when Mark asked me if I would participate in the user meeting this year, of course I was very excited and honored, and my first question naturally was, what would you like me to talk about? So Mark said, well, you know, certainly we want to talk about the Tekla partnership with Nucor, so be happy to do that, one of my favorite topics. We'd like you to give an overview of Nucor. I said, absolutely, another one of my favorite topics. And then he said, well, let's talk about modeling. And I said, okay, let me think about that. So we hung up the phone, I went to the internet and looked up modeling. So here are a couple of examples of what I found. These are a couple of examples of models. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I figured that's probably not what Mark was thinking about. So I kept searching, found an example of a Model T, a model boat, and getting a little bit closer, a concept car model for the future. Talking a little bit more specifically, I switched to role models. And role models, by the way, can be both positive and negative, and both people and organizations. Role models, I'm talking about in the positive sense here, are people or organizations that are admired, want to be emulated, and that we can all learn from. A couple of role models that I'd like to specifically focus on in Nucor's history. Ken Iverson. We call Ken the legend of Nucor. Ken was the first CEO of what was then called the Nuclear Corporation in the mid-60s. He essentially is largely responsible, with the help of all of our teammates, of moving Nucor from a single-plant Vulcraft facility in Florence, South Carolina in the mid-60s to, when I joined the company in 1996, a company with $4 billion in sales, 6,600 teammates. And one of Ken's most famous quotes, among others, is that every decision we make as managers is rooted in long-term perspective. In 2000, another excellent positive role model is our current chairman and CEO, Dan D'Amico. Dan continued the legacy that Ken built and continued to raise the bar by teaching and leading us in different areas. And one of Dan's analogies is focusing on a mountain with no top. And it goes back to the game King of the Mountain. Anybody play King of the Mountain when you were young? If you reach the top of the mountain, where is the only place to go?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So continual improvement is all about climbing that mountain with no top. That's one thing that Dan has taught us and continued to reinforce. Another thing is that leaders create focus. Leaders create not only focus, but the correct focus. And we'll talk a little bit about Dan and Ken in a little bit. Regarding Nucor Corporation, our 21,000 teammates in the corporation all share a common culture. And it all starts with safety. We absolutely have a commitment to our teammates. We have a commitment to our relationships that are based on trust at every level within the organization. Our decentralized structure also helps us provide a long-term focus. You'll hear a little bit more about long-term thinking and long-term focus later on this morning. Our teamwork, pay-per-performance systems all drive continual improvement. And in a nutshell, it builds ownership for taking care of our customers, taking care of our shareholders, and taking care of each other. I'm going to share a couple of employee relations principles that go all the way back to Ken Iverson's time and still are very, very much strong and alive today. The first one is that management is obligated to manage our company in such a way that our teammates all have the opportunity to earn according to their productivity. Item 2, everyone should feel confident that if we do our jobs properly today, we will have a job tomorrow. Item 3, everyone must have the right to be treated fairly and believe that they are. And fourth, every teammate that doesn't feel they're being treated fairly has an avenue of appeal. These things are the foundation of where we've built our Nucor culture from. Going back to safety for a minute, another common term you'll hear amongst Nucor is nothing is more important than safety. Absolutely nothing. It's just part of what we are, it's part of who we are. We encourage our divisions, even though we're very decentralized, to participate in programs such as ANSI Z10, the OSHA 18001, ISO 14001, and the VPP, Voluntary Protection Program. How many folks have heard of the VPP program? Good, several have. An outstanding program. We actually invite OSHA inspectors into our facilities and proactively develop ways and become certified, and of course we have to keep it going, in keeping our teammates safe so that everyone goes home safely to their families each and every day. Again, a key part of our culture. We walk the talk. We absolutely do. Nothing is more important than safety. Education, another key part of our Nucor culture and our long-term thinking. The model for our nation's future social and economic progress is really built upon education. Nucor has had in place for many, many years a foundation scholarship program, and over the years we've paid out over $61 million to over 13,000 teammate children at over 1,600 universities. In 2011 alone, the scholarship program paid out almost $4.6 million to over 2,000 students. Our biggest competitive advantage is absolutely our people, but not just people, the right people. And what you see here, the pointer is working here, I don't know, I guess it's not, is our 2011 annual report. And you may not be able to read this, however, ever since I've been a part of Nucor and well before, every teammate is listed on the cover of our annual report. Every teammate. So this is the 1996 report. And hopefully you can see this, but on the front and back are all the teammates. Nothing in this front cover or back cover, and just a little bit in the front cover. Now we fast forward to 2011, and there's our front and back cover with all of the teammates listed on it. Absolutely the right people. Pretty amazing to me. And I will tell you that as a teammate, as an employee, one of the first things you do when you get your annual report is look for your name. Pretty cool thing. So, that's really the key to our success. Talking about a little bit of general information, we are the largest steel producer in North America, 7th largest in the world. We're the largest steel recycler, as Mark said, in the world. We have over 21,000 teammates and over 40 years without a layoff due to lack of work. Think about that, folks, even through the Great Recession. We have 27 million tons of steelmaking capacity, and we have over 200 operating facilities. And in 2011, Dan D'Amico, our current chairman and CEO, was named to Industry Week magazine's Manufacturing Hall of Fame. From a financial perspective, our sales were over $20 billion last year. We've returned over 370% to our shareholders over the past 5 years. Not bad returns. We've had 157 consecutive quarters of paying cash dividends through June of 2012. And in 2011, we were rated by S&P as the strongest company financially in the metals and mining sector. For those of you who don't know, we're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, the symbol's NUE. Nucor has a 5-pronged growth strategy, and we've executed successfully in every one of these prongs, starting with optimizing and profitably growing our existing operations. There's always room for continual improvement and climbing that mountain. Secondly, we have a focused raw material strategy. Thirdly, a greenfield strategy for greenfield facilities, new sites, new projects, new companies. Fourth, international growth, which we've executed on as well. And lastly, strategic acquisitions. And I've been fortunate enough throughout my career to have been part of a greenfield and an acquisition. Best experiences of my life. Fantastic opportunities provided by Nucor. Let's talk about our business segments. We have 4 major business segments: raw materials, a steelmaking segment, steel products segment, and a steel trading segment. We focus on market leadership, but not for market leadership's sake. We focus on being the best, executing with excellence, and taking care of our customers. That's what drives market leadership. We don't focus on being number one to be number one. We let the results speak for themselves. So you can see the list of products there that we're number 1 in market leadership. We're number 2 in North America in plate steel, and number 3 in sheet steel. And we're going to continue to grow. Moving to individual segments, and I am going to go through these slides fairly quickly. If you would like more specific information, either talk with me after at a break sometime, or go to our website, www.nucor.com. I'm going to give you a brief overview. There's a lot of data in some of these slides. The intent is for it to, if it catches your eye, make a note, and then either talk with one of us or look on the website. Starting with our raw materials segment, our upstream materials. David J. Joseph was an acquisition for Nucor, and DJJ is one of the largest scrap brokers in North America and internationally. From a processing side, we have over 60 processing facilities, and scrap is one of the components that's the feedstock for the electric arc furnaces that Nucor uses in steelmaking. We also produce DRI, direct reduced iron, another key feedstock for our electric arc furnaces. We have a facility up and operating in Trinidad and Tobago, and we have a new facility under construction in St. James Parish, Louisiana, that's scheduled to open mid-next year. In the steelmaking segment, this is our summary of our annual capacity. We have about 11 million tons capacity in sheet steel, 9.1 million in bar, structural products just under 4 million, about 3 million tons of capacity in plate, with 27 million tons of steelmaking capacity and growing. Our bar mill group, we make rebar, merchant bar, structural products, and SBQ, special bar quality, which we'll talk about a little bit under the product segment. Again, you can see there are a lot of products there. If you have anything catches your eye, please look up the bar group on our website. Sheet mill group. We produce hot rolled coil, we produce floor plate, cold rolled coil, ultra thin cast steel under the name cast strip, galvanized, and galvanneal. Structural group. We produce wide flange sections, sheet piling, H piling, all the sections you see there, as well as European sizes. Our plate mill group, we produce discrete plate, we produce cut-to-length plate, hot-rolled coil plate, and we've just expanded our facilities to include a quench and temper function to continue up the value chain in the plate market. The steel products segment, starting with rebar fabrication. Harris Steel was another acquisition, growth by acquisition for us, and is North America's leading fabricator and placer and distributor of concrete reinforcing and rebar products. In fact, our watchword, our slogan at Harris is, the more complicated the project, the better. Right, Les? You're over there somewhere. Absolutely. And we operate under 4 brands: Harris Rebar, Ambassador Steel, Barker Steel, and New Fab. Wire products, we make a variety of wire products. Again, a lot of products on this slide. If something catches your eye, look at the website. Everything from construction mesh to mining mesh and accessories that go along with it. Grading, another acquisition, Fisher & Ludlow, operates throughout the United States and Canada, and we operate in markets such as commercial buildings, mining and metal, chemical plants, water treatment facilities, and some of our products on the right there. We're also in the highway, signpost, and barrier systems market, guardrail, the hat channel, signposts, and so on. Nucor Fastener produces fasteners for the automotive, heavy industrial, construction, and heavy equipment markets. We mainly focus on non-commodity fasteners, but we also sell our share of commodity fasteners. Vulcraft Verco is the nation's largest producer of open web steel joists, joist girders, steel deck, and we operate out of 10 manufacturing facilities throughout the U.S. Our Nucor Buildings Group is another industry leader. We operate under 5 different brands, and we collaborate internally behind the scenes to provide the maximum value to our customers. And one of those huge collaborations is Tekla and what we've done as a team, while we compete externally through our distribution network of contractors and builders. And we operate 11 manufacturing facilities, and one interesting thing to note is that every one of our projects is designed, detailed, and manufactured by Nucor employees, by Nucor teammates. These are a couple of examples of the variety of complexity of metal building projects. A lot of them don't look like metal building projects. And again, the powerful, the abilities of Tekla, the robustness, the capabilities have allowed us to expand our market where traditional metal buildings haven't gone. Cold finish products, I alluded to this earlier. We call this the SBQ market, special bar quality. These products are used primarily for drive shafts, axles, motor axles, and also hydraulic cylinders, shock absorbers, that kind of thing. We have cold finish products as well. And our newest member of the Nucor family is Skyline Steel. Skyline, many of you are probably familiar with, is the premier distributor of piling, steel piling in the United States and in North America. Skyline has been a great partner with us over the years and is now part of the Nucor family, and we're absolutely thrilled to have them on board. Now let's turn to the topic again that I said is very important in my view to all of us in this room, to every American, and to our future generations. And that's restoring domestic manufacturing, fabrication, and construction. First, the not so good news. No major economy can prosper with less than 20 to 25% of the workforce in manufacturing. We have 9% of our American workforce today in manufacturing. No major economy can prosper today where its manufacturing sector contributes less than that same number, 20 to 25% of GDP. Today, manufacturing contributes 11% of our GDP. Let's look at the history. In the early part of the 20th century, manufacturing employed about 30% of our workforce. From the 40s to the mid-70s, about 25%, and as I said above, 9% today. A tremendously alarming trend. Here's a graph showing the peak of manufacturing in 1998 versus where we are today. And the fact is we've lost nearly 6 million manufacturing jobs since the peak in 1998, from 18 to 12 million, 33% decline. Here's why manufacturing matters. Manufacturing is a high value-added job. Manufacturing jobs are high value-added jobs for our U.S. economy. They're highly leveraged in that one manufacturing job provides the economic value of approximately 5 retail jobs and approximately 3 government jobs. And let me go to the next slide. I'll explain this a little bit more. Manufacturing creates far more jobs than any other group by what we call either the multiplier effect or the ripple effect. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The leverage created by a manufacturing job, bringing people to the area, retail centers, all the ripple effects, is about a 2.6 to 1 factor Whereas with retail and other jobs, it's a one-to-one. So there's huge leverage with creating manufacturing jobs, and all jobs are certainly not created equally. Failure to grow our manufacturing sector will absolutely result in a long-term, slow-growth economy, and does everybody agree? That's pretty much what we have today, if at all. There's a myth that used to be popular, I don't hear it so much anymore, and I'm glad, that the U.S. is, quote, successfully transitioning from manufacturing to a service economy. Well, here's the reality, folks. The service sector, cannot create the sheer volume of jobs with that leverage or multiplier effect needed to sustain a workforce of nearly 150 million people. We need manufacturing as the catalyst. We need manufacturing jobs as the catalyst to drive the rest of our economy. Here's an alarming trend as well if you go back to job losses in recent recessions. And if you look starting in the 1974 recession to 81, 1990, 2001, the zero line is and the x-axis represents the time in months to get back to pre-recession job levels. And as you see, each recession, the time to get back to pre-recession job levels gets longer and longer. Look at our current recession. We're nowhere close to being back to where we were at pre-recession levels. That's why you hear the term, this is a jobless recovery, if indeed it's a recovery at all. An alarming trend. And as I like to say, and we've quoted a couple times, the text doesn't show here, but it's welcome to the world without manufacturing jobs, because that's what we'll be stuck with if we don't recreate our manufacturing base. There is a connection. There is a direct connection, in our view, between the trade deficit and manufacturing jobs. And if you look at this historical slide here, you can see the inverse relationship. As our trade deficit increases, guess what? Manufacturing jobs decline. As the trade deficit decreases, manufacturing jobs increase. So that, in our view, is the direct link. Control the trade deficit will help grow manufacturing jobs and will also help America prosper. A couple of statistics. Between 2002 and 2006, China added 11 million manufacturing jobs. Remember what I said before, total U.S. manufacturing jobs remaining is 12 million. Total U.S. debt is $16 trillion. In fact, we just crossed the $16 trillion level. That's not a good threshold to cross. China holds about 11.5% of our debt, which totals to a securities value of $1.73 trillion that China holds of our securities. I don't know about you folks, but that's very bothersome to me. We've got to make some changes. Let's talk about $1 trillion. It's just a number, it's just something that gets bantied about. But I wanted to share with you and take a few minutes to show what does $1 trillion really look like. So let's start with old Ben Franklin here. $100 bill, this is the largest denomination in common circulation today in the U.S. So here's $10,000. Just one stack, less than a ½ inch high. Now here's $1 million. You see this young man standing here? You got the little pile of money there? That's $1 million. Still not too impressive, but that's a lot of money right there. Now we're looking at $100 million. That's a little bit more impressive. That's a pallet full of money, all $100 bills. Now we're looking at $1 billion, 8 pallets full, a little bit higher. That's starting to look like something. Okay. Next, we'll look at $1 trillion. But this is the number that everybody keeps bantying about. Our debt is $16 trillion. The Chinese hold $1.73 trillion of U.S. securities. So what's $1 trillion? It's a million. It's a 1 followed by 12 zeros. Okay, hard to get your hands around that, or it's hard to get my head around it. So are you ready for this? It's pretty amazing. There's $1 trillion. And you can see the little guy still standing there in the lower left-hand corner. That's $1 trillion right there. The pallets are double stacked, not single stacked, and every one of these are $100 bills. So the next time you toss around or hear someone toss around that phrase, $1 trillion, that's what they're talking about. And remember, our national debt just crossed the $16 trillion level. A lot of money. A lot of money. So, the good news, what do? We get back to becoming a nation that innovates, makes, and builds things. Creating manufacturing jobs must absolutely be our #1 priority. How do we do this? Under the leadership of Dan D'Amico, Nucor and Dan have a three-step plan that we actively promote and passionately believe in restoring America's jobs and restoring the manufacturing base. #1 is to achieve energy independence in America. #2 is to restore manufacturing. And #3 is to rebuild our infrastructure. Well, let's talk about each one of these in a little bit more detail. Achieving energy independence. We need to develop all energy resources, both traditional, renewable, and we need to streamline the permitting process. I read a few months ago it took 16 years, and whether you're a nuclear proponent or not, 16 years to obtain a permit for a power plant, a little bit on the ridiculous side, in my opinion. This will create jobs in several ways. First of all, building the energy infrastructure. Jobs for all of us, manufacturing jobs, construction jobs, fabrication jobs. Driving R&D in the energy sector, many of the folks in this audience as well, and securing affordable energy for manufacturing to help us compete in the global economy. By the way, achieving energy independence will actually reduce our trade deficit by 1/2. Just those actions alone. It's a big number, folks. Second item, restoring American manufacturing. We need to empower American businesses. We need to basically revamp the regulatory systems, the tax systems, to encourage investment, to encourage growing businesses, not to discourage. Restore the global trade balance, reducing that deficit. We need to produce more in America, we need to remove barriers to American exports, and we need to vigorously enforce rules-based trade. Folks, there is no such thing as free trade. Just being direct with you, some countries cheat, and they're not going to stop cheating until we enforce rules-based trade. Some are excellent trading partners, some countries are not. We need to vigorously enforce rules-based trade. There is no such thing as free trade. Lastly, we've got to find a way to upgrade our crumbling infrastructure. The ASCE estimates that we'll need $2.2 trillion, there's that number again, over the next 5 years to rebuild our infrastructure. Failure to act will cost almost 900,000 jobs and a loss of $3.1 trillion in GDP growth. This will create jobs through, obviously, building the new infrastructure itself and also laying the foundation for tomorrow's manufacturing companies and tomorrow's growth in the United States. Great challenges bring great opportunities for great companies, and I have strong faith in the passion, the commitment, the innovation, and the creativity of Americans that we'll get there. We've just got to keep pushing, keep focusing on this message, and keep raising the bar, keep climbing that mountain for continual improvement, and we'll get there. This all is part of long-term thinking. You know, some of you in the audience might be thinking, well, you know, who cares what my children's grandchildren are faced with? We'll let them worry about it. We'll kick the can down the road. I doubt anyone's really thinking that, but the fact is, we've got to be concerned about this. We've got to think long-term right now. So long-term thinking is part of our Nucor culture. It's a model for growth, our model for continual improvement. Getting back to Ken Iverson and Dan D'Amico, a couple of things that we focus on routinely. That Nucor invests in new products, new technologies in all business climates. It's absolutely true that we invest in the tough times so that we're even stronger in the good times. And I'll give you a big example of that in a few minutes. We invest in new products, new technologies, and of course, the right people. Remember, no layoffs in over 40 years. This is a long-term approach to continual improvement. It's absolutely in our DNA, and it's very much one big reason that we partnered with Tekla. If you think about some industry game changers over the years, you think about, from a long-term perspective, the digital age. You know, what happened with the PC age? Some of us, I'm certainly old enough to remember that. I didn't quite start engineering school with slide rule, but I had a one function, one memory calculator. So the digital age really revolutionized, and the people who didn't think long-term we either had to catch up or they ended up going out of business. Certainly 3D modeling, the clay models, the concept cars, that kind of thing, and now BIM, part of industry game changers. Simply stated, building information modeling, in our view, is the future of construction. It's driving an unparalleled industry revolution by doing some of the following things: producing a working model that also creates fabrication drawings, ensures quality control, especially and including clash detection, significantly improves project change management, no question about that. It does increase our productivity of the entire team, and there's a tremendous value-added resource for owners, contractors, fabricators, erectors, everyone throughout the project chain. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Tekla-Nucor partnership. It's a model for growth. See, back to our models theme here. A model for continual improvement and a model for collaboration. And I think I have time to do this, so I'd like to share a little story. The date was March 12, 2009. How was the economy doing then, folks? Not too good, right? Kind of in the middle of the Great Recession. Sometimes I think we're still in the middle of the Great Recession, and I think we are, in my opinion. Adam Simmons. Adam, where are you? Come on up here for a minute. Adam, I was visiting one of our engineering centers, and Adam was a detailer at the time. And I was there in the morning in Columbus, Georgia, had to go to another division in the afternoon, and Adam pulls me aside. Thank you, Adam. Adam pulls me aside and says, "I got something I'd like to show you." So I said, "Okay, before I leave, I'll stop by your office." So about 11 o'clock, I come by Adam's office, and he's showing me a version of Tekla, an evaluation version that he'd been working with at home and messing around with. And by the way, I made a phone call, and I never made it to my second destination that day. That's how powerful, and that's the long-term vision that was immediately evident with us moving to Tekla and moving to partnering with Tekla. And in the meantime, Tim Schwartz, Tim, you're here? We didn't know this. Tim, come on up here. Almost all the way across the United States at another Nucor division, this young man here is doing the same thing. Now, I wasn't aware of it. Adam wasn't aware of it. Hey, Tim? Tim's looking at Tekla as well and talking with other folks at Nucor. And so within a matter of weeks or a month, we've got two different divisions of Nucor looking at the long-term opportunities with Tekla. Joe Cipra, come on up. Joe's with our Vulcraft group. We've got a third division of Nucor, again, within weeks or months of each other, in early 2009, in the worst recession ever. Joe? That the Vulcraft group is also looking at the power of Tekla, the interoperability, and the advantages of partnering to give us that competitive edge in the market. So in the worst economic times ever, Nucor jumped in with both feet, thanks to these guys. And when I say the right people, we have 21,000 right people. These folks are fine examples of having the right people that on their own launched what I call the Tekla revolution within Nucor. And as Mark said today, that we're the largest license holder in North America and proud to be that partner with Tekla. So thank you guys, appreciate it. See what you started? Let's talk about a few more specifics. Why Tekla? Tekla Structures is built from the ground up. as a BIM product. It's very seamless in implementation, look, feel, functionality. Tekla Structures demonstrates a huge robustness of functionality, capability, and performance. Tekla far outclasses the competition in almost every aspect, including the items listed below. Robust interactive modeling capabilities, the depth and breadth of the built-in functionality, the ease of customization, which is very critical to Nucor. We have our 4 product groups interacting with each other. We've customized the system. Even within our buildings group, we have 5 independent brands that each have different needs. We're easily available to customize while sharing code behind the scenes. Drawing generation and manipulation, absolutely critical. The first time some of our shops saw the output from the Tekla drawings, which some people said couldn't be done to take the 3D model right to the fabrication drawings, and myself included, I was absolutely amazed. And last but certainly not least, integration with manufacturing and fabrication. That's continuing to grow and grow, as our folks at FabTrol shared with us earlier this morning. Tekla has continued to develop, enhance, and add value to the product, and very importantly, Tekla listens to their customers. You're talking about data flow. Tekla can be implemented in all phases of a project cycle with a continuous data flow, all the way from, if you look on the upper right, sorry my pointer isn't working here, through architectural integration, through engineering, detailing, fabrication, procurement, and all the way through the erection scheduling process and the erection process. If you think about it, Tekla Structures has really provided true 3D connectivity and integration between all of our Nucor divisions. We actually can collaborate even at the enterprise level now. We have several folks here from our corporate, I guess I'll call it e-commerce division, if you will, that are working on sharing information at the Nucor enterprise level and working with some of our customers. So Tekla provides this true 3D connectivity across all of our divisions and up to the enterprise level. It's really allowed us to leverage our technological leadership into market leadership, and we will continue to do so. Tekla and our partnership fits right into our long-term strength, and we really look forward to climbing that mountain. See the mountain in the back? It doesn't have a top, right? So we look forward to continuing to climb that mountain with no top as partners and long-term partners with Tekla. Tekla investment. In the 4 product groups, we have the Nucor Buildings Group, we have the Vulcraft Verco Group, Harris Rebar, and Fisher & Ludlow. All 4 products groups are moving their detailing systems over to a Tekla-based platform, to a Tekla platform with customization. Again, the ease of customization made our decision pretty easily for us, and the collaboration with the Tekla team. Talking about value-added features and benefits, the open API of Tekla Structures was a huge advantage for us. Provides a very robust environment, again, to build and customize from. We operate very independently. Nucor's hallmark is our decentralized organization, but we compete externally, but we collaborate internally. Tekla's allowed us to do this beautifully, sharing code, sharing concepts, sharing ideas. Very transferable. Quality gains were immediately realized through the benefits of 3D visualization. In the forms of course, a lot of you know this, reduced detailing, shop errors, clash detection, improved field fit-up. Clarity of communication is huge. Tekla, and especially BIMsite, can be used as a great communication vehicle from design to detailing to the shop, and actually I'll include from the sales process at the presentation stage all the way to the end owner. Talking more about features and benefits, there's tremendous value in building a virtual model. You know, in the olden days, we used to say, let's change the paper. Let's change the paper before we have to change the steel. Now, we say, let's build it virtually before we build it physically. Tekla absolutely reduces our costs throughout the project chain, and it reduces our cost and response of project change management with the accuracy of changes, response time, You're all familiar, especially fabricators in a room, what happens when the customer makes a change 2 days before the drawings are due to the shop, and it's your entire production for that next week. It's a mad scramble, isn't it? This absolutely helps facilitate, Tekla does, the changes and response time. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Tekla BIM site is huge. It's a collaboration, communication tool for all teammates and all team members, I should say, involved in the project chain. Talking about our specific product groups, Nucor Buildings, and you'll see some repetition here, but it is what it is. Immediate quality gains on the building side through 3D visualization, clash conflicts, shop floor connectivity. Productivity gains. We are continually improving over time, and I have to share with the folks that this is a process, not an event. As you make conversions over from other software to Tekla, just like anything, there's certainly a learning curve, but I will tell you it's very short and it's a process. You've got to be patient, have some long-term thinking, and believe me, the investment is well worth the cost in the long run. The 3D high visual content certainly shortens our detailing curve today, learning curve today, and I would say that our team would revolt if we asked them to go back to 2D today on the building side. And I don't think that's an understatement. Here's an example of a metal building connection system, a little bit of a busy connection, and this shows the power of Tekla. Here's the model, and there's the actual building representation. Fit together just perfectly. Here's another example of a project detailed in Tekla. Metal building project, of course. This is the model. And there's the final building representation. Pretty neat. As most of you in this room know, if the model fits and you put the correct dimensions in, of course, it's only as smart as we are, then the structure will go together. Looking at our Vulcraft Verco Group, you'll see some of the same value-added features and benefits. Certainly quality improvements. Interoperability is huge for us at Vulcraft, both with our buildings group, because we share products together and go to market together on certain products, and also with our customer base. It improves speed to market in reduced approval times, effective communication, many other ways. And Tekla also helps improve communication and collaboration with all project team members throughout the cycle. Here's a fairly simple joist and deck project, detailed in Tekla, and then here's the actual as-built. Harris Rebar. Quality's at the top of the list as well. Proactively resolves fit-up issues. And this is big in the rebar industry where there can be a lot of congestion in beam-to-column connections and in just a lot of different complexities. And the rebar industry, just like the metal building industry and the joist and deck industry, and as you'll see in a minute, the grading industry, continues to get more and more complex, more and more intricate, and we need more powerful tools like Tekla to help make sure we take care of our customers. Bill of materials accuracy. Builds trust with our customers, reduces cost and waste on projects. Big issue for us, improves safety, and this just isn't at Harris. A lot of these overlap to all of our products, that we can identify hazardous situations in placing rebar. We can identify situations on erecting buildings or with joist and deck issues. One of our brands, CBC out in California, is working on a big hangar project right now that we built it virtually first, and then probably had a day-long meeting, is that right, Scott, with the erector, who made some excellent changes to improve erectability, safety, productivity, and in the end, everybody wins. Fantastic collaboration. It provides the owner with more cost-effective in-place solutions, again, through collaborating virtually before we have to build it physically. And there's significant time savings, as I mentioned before, also on the rebar side with the submittal process. Here's a fairly involved rebar project, detailed in Tekla, and there's the as-built. Fisher & Ludlow, our grading division. Again, we operate throughout the United States and Canada. Similar features and benefits, quality, clash checking, labor savings in the field. Gradings can be a very intricate detailing process as well, especially some of the complex power plants and other markets that we participate in. Interoperability, Tekla structures we can import into Tekla very effectively for very detailed clash detection and clash coordination, and we can export from Tekla to provide deliverables to our customer. And again, that applies to all 4 of our product groups. Improving productivity, customer communication and response we've talked about before. And again, this doesn't quite look like it, but this is actually the Tekla model of a grading project. And you'll see in a minute, there's the as-built. In my view, pretty impressive stuff, folks. Lots of ways to add value to your business. All right, looking ahead. Models for the future. We all must identify where the value lies. That's the key. Identify where the value lies, maximize value through executing with excellence. And we came up with, as a group, the Ds, I guess is a common term now that's being bantied around. 4D, time. 5D is cost. And 6D, facilities management. Now, I will tell you that a lot of you in this audience are doing some of these things already. I know from the Tekla folks you are. That's excellent, because in a lot of cases, the future is now. And tomorrow, the future will be different. So if we're not growing and continually improving, we're backsliding. It's that mountain with no top analogy again. So this, in my view, we're just scratching the surface. There's a huge opportunity for improvement where the value lies in this. And that's where our Nucor, I'll call them enterprise-level e-commerce folks, are really focusing their efforts to provide higher value to our customers through coordination of all of our products through the steelmaking business and provide more value to you throughout the whole process. Safety, a huge opportunity. We've already seen some examples of this, a huge opportunity to provide safer structures, rebar packages, grading packages, and so on, because again, we're not just concerned about our Nucor teammates, we're concerned about everyone. And we want every person to go home safely to their families each and every day. That's our goal. Of course, proactive field collaboration is key, because there's no one that knows how to build a project like the guys who actually build it. You think about that. Having those folks involved early, the placers, the erectors, the installers, and getting their opinions early, seeing a 3D model, is a huge way to help improve safety and, of course, quality, a better project for our customer, but the right reason and the most important reason is safety. Production. Process equipment integration. I see that as a possibility in the future. You think about end users that have equipment changeovers, annual changeovers, whatever business they're in. Rather than wait until they get the new equipment in and then deal with the structure, the MEP, any other conflicts, the foundation conflicts, I think it'd be a great value for that end owner to have a combined model of production equipment and a Tekla model, such that they can actually look at the virtual issues and plan ahead rather than be in reaction mode. I think that lies ahead for us in the future. Lots of opportunity. Reduces potential human error, again, changes a reactive situation to proactive. Layout solutions for contractors through the overall partnership with Trimble. Direct layouts from digital design data. No manual scaling, no human calculation errors. Increased accuracy of layouts. Layout tolerance specified by the user. Increased speed of the layout. You know, we're hearing stories, according to the Tekla folks, of at least double, and in some cases, 4x factors of improved productivity on the initial feedback here, and the ability to record as-builts while laying out the project, and then incorporate that back into the model. And again, some of you in the audience are doing this already. Excellent. There's a long way to go, in my view, in all of these areas to really raise the bar on these last few slides. So those are a few things for in the future. Let's not forget about education. Education is a huge, huge value-added opportunity for Tekla, for BIM, for all of us in the industry. We need to change the mindset of what manufacturing really is. One of the issues in manufacturing is we can't find qualified people that actually want to work for a living. I mean we, the U.S., not just we, Nucor. So we've got to change the mindset and the paradigms here. Manufacturing, construction, and fabrication is really about advancing technology. And the schools really need to embrace the technologies and the significant engagement by the business community. The fact is, this is an opportunity for job creation because what we're talking about with Tekla and BIM is technology jobs translating into manufacturing, construction, fabrication jobs. We need to approach education at all levels, from junior high to high school, trade schools, all the way through universities. And I do have one quick example. It happens to be Auburn University, so sorry if there are any Alabama fans in the room. There's an indoor football practice facility that was actually designed and detailed by one of our buildings brands. The architect was a former Auburn football player, and the professor of architecture was so fascinated with the process and the BIM model that was provided and so on that he asked for a session from our team to address his Masters of Architecture class. So the agenda went something like, a plant tour, features and benefits, a Tekla structures demonstration, and then the next steps in the process and how the whole project was fabricated and delivered and so on. And by far and away, Tekla was the star of the day. No question about it. The architecture students, the professor was just blown away by the power. And you can just, I wasn't there. Wes Brooker was there, and according to Wes, you can see the long-term connect the dots that people were going through in their mind. Again, part of long-term thinking. Identifying where the value lies also involves, and this may be one of the most critical items of all, a paradigm shift for everyone throughout the project chain. We first have to work together to drive model collaboration from concept all the way to completion. We've got a long way to go. We've got a good start, but we've got a long way to go. We absolutely cannot be afraid to share models with each other, across trades, from the engineer of record to the fabricator, all the way through to the end user. We've got to find a way to make this work. And I'll just tell you, throughout my career and maybe throughout my life, I've really operated under the credo that if two parties want to make something happen, it will. If one of the two doesn't, it won't. I like to keep things pretty simple. So if we all get together, we all collaborate and change this paradigm, everybody wins in the long run. This is absolutely in the best interest of the project team, and again, especially and including the end owner. What's next? I'm sure there are lots of better ideas than even shown on here in this group. I will just tell you that only time, our creativity, our passion for learning, and our passion for continual improvement will tell where we're headed from here. And I'm confident that with all of us being partners with Tekla Structures, collectively, we will get there. So, thank you very much for your time this morning. I very much appreciate it, and I'll talk with you all later. Thank you.